Yep, I got them all out. I'm good to go.
Alrighty. I am too. Need to push record on the podcast over here and we'll jump into it. What's going on, folks? I'm Jordan from Ducks Gun Chronicles. Got my co-host Elliot Graybeard from Freelance Duck Hunting, and our guest for tonight is Josh from Outdoor Limits. How you doing tonight, Josh?
I'm doing excellent. How are you guys?
Doing good. Ready to get rolling. We're both fresh off the start of the season. Elliot's still kind of waiting around and dragging his feet, but yeah, definitely doing good.
Someone got really mad at me about my rats with wings comment. I've been calling doves rats with wings on the podcast a few times, Josh. I like doves, okay, but here's what I'm saying: if you get a blue winged teal or a mallard and you hold it in your hand, right hand, and you get a dove and you hold it in your left hand, you compare the two. Which one looks like a rat with wings, and which one's classy and elegant and fantastic? That's all I'm saying.
It's the symbol of peace, though.
Shouldn't be.
The teal should be the symbol of peace.
Yes.
Yeah,
Or like, I don't know. But yeah, I took a lot. Someone was really pissed off at me about that. They were like, the comment was like, well, you obviously don't know how to shoot or eat dove. I'm like, no, just lighten up. It's a joke, man. It's a joke. I've hunted plenty of doves in my life. It's a joke.
People take things pretty seriously.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think you're pretty biased though in your assumptions because like I don't think that a teal is like the most, like usually when I pull a teal out of the water, it's like swampy. There's pond scum stuck on it. And
yeah, and they got little bugs crawling all over them.
Yeah, that's true too.
Well, all those ducks have those little bugs on top. And those bugs are cute. I just put them straight into my hair.
You don't eat them?
Oh, those cute little bugs.
You ever eaten a duck tongue?
No.
I've seen it happen. Last year on opening day, we had one of my buddies. It was his first time shooting a duck, and we were like, "Dude, you got to eat the duck tongue with your first duck." And it was a green winged teal, and he bit it and then ripped the tongue out, and then ripped like two little prong muscles out of the throat of the duck. It was kind of gross, but it was kind of fun watching him eat it.
How well did you know this guy? Was this a guy that just like contacted you? Just like, come hunt with me, like YouTube great guy, and then you're like, yeah, I'm gonna make you eat a duck tongue.
No, it was my best friend's frat brother.
Nasty. No thanks.
Yeah, no, that'd be pretty gross. I'm gonna no duck tongue for me either.
No Cajun crunch and no duck. You've done the Cajun crunch though, I think, haven't you?
Times.
Why?
It's
It's patched.
Why? Why would you do that?
You gotta feel like a real man.
Ah, man, I'm gonna stay a child then. That's nasty.
Because you can't.
I think I'm more of like a finisher kind of guy. I can't wring their necks, so
I struggle with those things.
It's an art, man. There's an art form to snapping that neck. You got to do it right. You can if you do it right, you can feel that neck break within like one twist. You just got a thumb placement. Oh yeah, honker's totally different. But.
On a honker, you can put your knee in their back and just pop their head up real quick.
Huh. Never seen that one.
Yeah. I definitely do struggle at ringing honkers necks for sure. That's a whole different game. So what do you do? You put your knee in their back? Explain that a little bit more.
So like you lay them down like you would like a shell or whatever. So then you put your knee right in the center of their back, grab them by their neck, and then just pop their head up real quick and snap their neck.
Huh. I've never heard that.
Me either. But I'll probably stick to finisher just because it's easier.
Yeah, I'd like to see that. You should stick that in one of your videos. That'd be interesting.
Yeah, that's true. That'd be a good one for sure.
Yeah.
To see that.
That never happens though. I kill them every time with one shell.
No cripples.
4-inch T shot.
They used to have an F shot.
I know.
They don't sell anymore.
I've seen it. I've got a friend who has a box of them still.
Dang.
We opened one up, and those pellets are just outrageously big.
Like buckshot?
Yeah. There's like 56 pellets in a 3.5-inch shell.
Dang.
There was a bigger one than thought they used to call. I know my family members always used to call it triple aught buck, and I never saw a shell, but I know it was bigger than F. It was just a monster load.
Somebody in the comments says, YouTube ain't letting that video get aired. How to rip a goose's head off. Demonetized.
Yeah. I got a video though that on one of my best Kansas River goose hunt, Aiden just tortures a goose on video. He's trying to rip it, break its neck and everything, and I'm talking, and you can just kind of see him, and you hear this. This goose is just like, oh my gosh, it was awful, not good.
All right, before we get too far on this, you don't need a real introduction. Most everyone knows you on the YouTubes, but go ahead and let people know who you are and what you got going on, Josh.
All right. Well, my name is Josh, and I'm the YouTube content creator for the channel Outdoor Limits. So I'm pretty big in the hunting community when it comes to YouTube. I've been doing it for 4 or 5 years now, and it's just kind of taken off into something that probably none of us could have ever imagined it to turn into, which is super cool. But yeah, I'm just a kid that posts videos on YouTube and goes duck hunting. Not much else to it.
Awesome.
I got a quick question before you move on to something else. When you started, because I was actually watching your season 1 videos, because both of we've run exactly the same time frame, you and I, and so I've been watching you since that season 1, and I know season 1 when you were doing that, what was your goal? Was your goal to build it? Because I know you had a different thing going, but was your goal to build it, or were you just playing around?
It was more or less just playing around, filming hunts for the buddies to just watch, pretty much.
Yeah.
And then, season 1, I filmed maybe, I don't know, 8 to 10 of like 30 hunts I went on that season. Like, it was a really good year, and I wish I filmed more hunts that year, but it was more or less just filming to have something to look back on. And then season 2 came rolling around and started taking things a little bit more seriously, and that's when things really took off.
Yeah. That was a neat time because other than your channel and my channel, there was hardly anyone doing that vlog style. Do you remember anyone else? I'm sure there had to be some other people. I don't remember. I remember before I started my channel, I was looking for different types of YouTube videos. And I found one guy that was doing like episode 1, episode 2, episode 3, but he did like 3 episodes and they were really bad. But at that time, it was like nothing like this out there. Now it's just exploded. Do you remember? Was there anyone else doing it back then?
3 years ago, 4 years ago.
4 years ago, yeah.
The only one that comes to mind was Drake Valley, but I don't even know if that was the right time period or not.
No, he started a couple years after that actually. But there's been such a transition on YouTube. It's been really, really cool to be a part of and to witness it, and it's just a whole turned into a beast of its own, you know?
Yeah.
It really has. It's been cool to watch, especially being like one of the first people to do it, and then just see it take off. It's unreal.
Yeah, definitely something cool. And now there's a whole lot of us doing it, and I shouldn't even say a whole lot. It's really kind of a small niche community when you think about everybody that does it. But I was right along with Elliot, kind of watching your first videos and your first season. And honestly, that's right when I was thinking about doing it, because I started filming my hunts. Actually, I wasn't even hunting the first season, and I watched both of your guys' videos in the off season, and then the season after that, I like kind of dabbled in trying to film, but I really didn't even know how to hunt or film or anything. So my first season was not much of anything, but but yeah, let's kind of, I guess, can you tell us how you got into duck hunting?
So I got into duck hunting my freshman year of college. So that was about 5 years ago. And my buddy Adam took me down to Maridazine, and I think it was Christmas break. And I had 6 decoys I bought the night before, and that's all we had. We went out there. It was like a perfect ducky day. Like, snowstorm just rolled through right before everything iced up. There was ducks everywhere, but we had no freaking clue what we were doing. We had duck calls that we thought we knew how to blow. And so we got out there, had some ducks fly by, didn't take any shots. And then after that, we went out a couple other times. And since then it just kind of stuck. But actually, that's duck hunting. Goose hunting dates back to when I was about 16 years old, and nobody in my family hunts, and nobody, well, except for my cousin, but we started hunting at the same time. So I had nobody to really teach me how to do any of this stuff. So I figured I'd take it upon myself to go up to my family's farm where geese come through every year, and tried goose hunting. Failed miserably every time. But there was this one time where I eventually built up a spread where I had 2 dozen shells, and I remember one day I was set up and I had a herd of cacklers coming right on top of me, and I didn't know when to shoot because all I had was like TV shows and YouTube of these geese backpedaling in the digs. Meanwhile, I had like 150 to 200 cacklers right on top of me at 20 yards, and I didn't even shoot. So that's kind of a bummer. But it really just comes back to really learning it firsthand. And I started goose hunting by myself, got introduced to duck hunting by my friend about 5 years ago, and then just got in with some friends who really knew what they were doing and taught me everything they knew, and now we're here.
I'd say one of the most impressive things about you is how quick your learning curve is. I know I've been going at this about 27 years, and your learning curve for picking things up is really, really quick. Are you? I know before I think you said you do a lot of reading and stuff. How are you so? How are you able to adapt and learn so quickly?
So the best thing that I had was learning it firsthand and being a college student. I mean, I was able to hunt 4 to 5 days a week. So that gave me the amount of time that, like half a season goes by, I've already got enough hunts under my belt that most people have under their belt by the time, if they started hunting when they're 6, they've had by 14 or 15 years old. So if you really think about it, I just had the same amount of hunts pretty much, but compressed into a smaller amount of time. And it gave me a lot of time to really learn things, and learning that areas where I was hunting themselves, that was really beneficial as well. But I did a lot of reading, always watched videos on how to do things, and then also just going through blogs and reading duck hunting forums and things like that if I had any questions. But the best thing to teach me anything was firsthand experience with people who were passing their knowledge on to me. But it's always a learning experience when you're in the field. You never know too much about duck hunting to not learn something new. And it's just like this past season, I learned all about hunting out of an A-frame, and that just changed the game for me when it came down to hunting geese. It's just being in a layout blind every single day. But yeah, I think it just comes down to me being a student of the sport and trying my best to learn whatever I can.
I think you're also a very detail oriented person, and I've noticed that in some of your Hunter Hall videos. Because I've done the Hunter's Hall thing as well as you have, and I've just kind of compared mine versus yours. And one thing I've noticed about your videos is you're extremely detail oriented in everything you do, and I think that makes a huge difference in the learning curve as well.
Yeah, I might have slight OCD with things, and I think it's kind of grown on me throughout the years. I used to not be very OCD, but I think now I am very detail oriented, and I try to take my time to really look at things and try and examine all the outcomes of things as well. So it's always good to be detail oriented and a neat freak and a clean freak. But yeah, it's definitely kind of grown.
Something I wanted to hit on that you said kind of earlier about starting hunting and not coming from a hunting family, and that not really being your background. And really, I think that's kind of the future of hunting. We're getting more and more hunters who haven't been a part of it kind of starting up for whatever reason. But what kind of drew you to hunting, not really having anybody to kind of pull you in that direction?
So I guess I started my whole outdoor experiences with fishing with my dad. And so hunting was never really a thought in my mind until I was, I don't know, at least in high school, sophomore year. and it just kind of became an interest to me for some reason. It was something I was curious about. Like, you go into Bass Pro, go to the fishing section, but then in the upstairs there's all this hunting gear, and it's like, okay, I've never been up there, don't know anything about that. I want to learn more about this. And so I started out deer hunting, trying to deer hunt, and um, yeah,
Did that go
tough to
about as
learn.
good as your goose hunting?
No, I actually, the first time I went deer hunting, I shot a deer.
Oh
But
yeah.
that's because I went with my wrestling coach. He decided to take me out, and he put me in a tree stand, said, shoot one that walks by, and boom, there it was. And then the year after that, I tried to put in time to bow hunt. I could have shot 2 deer that year, but it just never really worked out. So, yeah, coming from a family that didn't hunt, it kind of gave me a different perspective on things, because it forced me to go out of my comfort zone and learn things and really try to figure it out. And in the long run, it caused me to make new friends and build more connections, which was very helpful.
Awesome. So is your buddy? You said Adam. He was the one that got you into duck hunting. Is he still sponsored by Rogers?
No, but I am.
That's a good segue.
Yeah.
I
No.
wasn't aware of that. Talk to us about that. I haven't seen it on your videos or anything. Is this something brand new?
Yeah, it's very new, and so I was up at Rogers for the waterfowl weekend. I got to talking to them, and so worked out a deal where I'll be promoting stuff for Rogers, which is super cool because they're pretty local to the area and it's Rogers. But I've been a long time supporter of their stuff, and it's great to have that kind of opportunity and to have those kind of businesses reach out to me and saying, "Hey, I like what you're doing. We want to support you." So that's really cool. But the best thing is, when we were at Rogers, I was up there with Adam when we started talking to the people up there, and I look over at him, and we're looking at each other going, "Is this really happening?" But yeah,
That is
it's
pretty
super
funny
cool.
because that was one of your rolling jokes in like season 1 or season 2 with him
Hmm.
wearing the Roger stuff.
Yeah.
Sure, you can be doing product reviews and things like that, or how's that going to look on your channel?
Yeah, so I'm gonna try and integrate some of their products into the videos and do product reviews in and of itself. So it's gonna be pretty natural integration, nothing where I'm trying to shove product down people's throats. But I do like to give honest reviews of products, and I've kind of turned into a product review channel of some sort because
Sure.
I've done so many product reviews. But mainly, I'm gonna be using and promoting their products in the videos, and also doing reviews and helping them promote their promotions and things like that.
Oh, that's great.
Cool. All right. Well, I guess let's move to the next topic and let's go with your life after college and kind of what do you get going on? Now that you're graduated, how's that changed things for you with running your YouTube and all that?
All right. Well, I graduated in college in May, and then I moved back home. I'm in my parents' house now. And so I got a job working for the Park and Rec district for the county. And so I really enjoy it. And it's only a 3-day week job, which is nice. And so it's provided me, one, I'm getting a pension and I've got a 401k. So that's pretty nice. But also, it provides me kind of a steadier income than YouTube does, because in the summertime, things just drop super hard and you really got to plan for that drop. So having that job definitely helps. But when it comes down to YouTube, living in my parents' house hasn't necessarily been the greatest experience for me when it comes down to making videos and having like a studio of sorts. Because when I was in college, I had a 2-bedroom apartment, and I turned one of the bedrooms into my office or studio. And it's just really weird for me to not have a designated space for filming. But I'll be closing on a house come September 30th, and I'm looking forward to having my office back and having a studio. But it's kind of weird balancing a job and hunting now, and YouTube, which is my other job. It's more of a job than my other job at this point. So ideally, I'd be able to do YouTube full time, but at this point in time, that's probably not the smartest decision when I'm buying a house and getting married and probably going to have to buy a new truck. And so having a part-time job 3 days a week, it's not too bad, and I'm able to balance it. I actually talked my boss into letting me work 12 hours a week in the wintertime during duck season. So I have to work 12 to keep my benefits.
Oh yeah. So well, that's not bad, right?
Yeah.
12 hours
Yeah.
and duck hunting a lot. So no, it sounds like you got a pretty good setup with all that. And congratulations on the house and getting married. And sounds like you got a lot of life changes coming up.
Yeah, it's gonna be a fun year, not only because it's gonna be a good hunting season and YouTube's really kind of starting to turn into more of a job than anything, which is amazing, turning your dream into a job. But getting a house, getting married, settling down, I mean, it's gonna be a fun year.
Awesome.
When's your wedding? When's the actual date of the wedding?
April 18th.
Are you gonna live stream it on YouTube?
Probably not. I've got a personal life.
I know. I'm just kidding because that's like a thing with some big YouTubers, but
Yeah.
I always find it kind of funny.
Yeah,
But,
we're just having pictures taken. We're not even having somebody do a video.
Nice.
Can you
So
hear my
is,
chair squeaking?
I do not.
Okay.
So is there? Oh, what was I gonna ask now? Shoot, I lost it.
Did we do the big announcement? I jumped up to use the restroom. Did we do the big announcement, or did we skip that?
No, we haven't hit that yet.
I mean, you're kind of going out of. I've texted you twice, and you're just like ignoring it, but chastising me at the same time. So I don't know.
No, we'll jump to that next. But what was man? Oh yeah. Okay, so obviously you're getting married and all that kind of stuff, but how does she feel about the amount of duck hunting you do?
She doesn't care about the amount of duck hunting I do. She cares about how much I'm gone. Because
Gotcha.
I think September and October are the worst because I've got to travel all the way across the state and across state lines between Nebraska and Kansas. Pretty much this weekend I'm going to go to Nebraska. Next weekend I'm going to Central Kansas. And then got a little dead zone. Then I'm going to go back to Nebraska. Then I'm going to go back to Central Kansas. So I'm going to be gone quite a bit. And that's kind of hard on her, especially since we don't live together. So we have to like cut out time to see each other too. So that's kind of a bummer. But she doesn't mind how much I hunt. She knows it's my job, so it's kind of nice.
Awesome.
That is always great when you can like, well, this is my job to go shoot ducks. I got to make money. I got to, you want that new coat.
Yeah, we got to pay for a wedding. Let me go hunting.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it sounds like that's a good deal there for sure. So, have you heard of the Flyways Collective by chance?
I have. I've seen a few videos on it on YouTube.
Oh yeah, cool. So, I guess this is where we talk about that.
Yeah, the big reveal. Last week we kind of teased about a new addition to the Flyways Collective, and if you guys have not heard of the Flyways Collective, it's Jordan and myself, Matt from High Prairie Sportsman, Thomas from Virginia Outdoors Unlimited, and Titus from Mid Valley Mercenary. And we have added a new member, and he is right here. So this is the 6th member of the Flyways Collective. This is the big reveal when no one's mentioned it. This is it right here. So this is the number 6 member of the Flyways Collective.
Awesome.
I just hear the fireworks going off.
Yeah, trumpets playing. So I guess the one thing we wanted to ask you is, because Jordan and I were talking about, we should talk to Josh, get him on and everything, and Jordan's like, oh, I think he'll join. I think so. I'm like, I don't know. I'm not sure. I was thinking like serving. Would it actually be beneficial to you and those types of things? So we'd like to hear it out of your mouth. What was your thought process in deciding to join our group, the collectives?
Well, I just think it's a really cool concept, and I've been growing by myself for way too long, and having the opportunity to collaborate with everybody is an awesome opportunity. And then again, I'm also giving the opportunity of my presence with you guys as well, which is kind of neat. So I actually thought about doing this a few weeks before you guys launched the thing. So I told Jordan that when I was on the phone with him. So it's a really cool opportunity, and I figured it was the next step to take. I mean, yeah, I'm coming in with a lot more subscribers than everybody else, but everybody has their own things to offer, and it's not just about subscribers and about views. It's about knowledge and working together. Here's what's working on YouTube. What are you guys doing for videos this week? And just having that kind of, I guess, a core group of people to just collaborate and bounce ideas off of. It's very beneficial, especially with what we do here on YouTube.
Yeah.
Yeah, totally agree. And I'd say, people, just there's very few people in my life I can talk to that understand. Because, I mean, putting out this much content and trying to grow a channel, it's a grind, it's a struggle. There's all these things going on in your mind. I mean, I can talk to my wife about it and she hears about it, but having like this core group of collective members who like are trying to achieve the same goal, which is basically financial independence, and sharing what we love, translating what we love, and having this group that we can talk to and share these things with is phenomenal.
Mm-hmm. You can't
Yep.
beat it.
No, it's definitely solid and definitely a great addition to have you joining all of us. And one thing we've talked about quite a few times is in the future, November, we got an awesome collab hunt, and you'll be joining us on that as well. So definitely, probably the number one thing I'm excited for this season is going out there on November 1st, and or whenever it is. But going out there and having this big collab, three-day hunts, and we're all going to be filming all the hunts. And I'm going to try not to bring my bad luck and skunks all the way to Kansas, but it's definitely going to be a lot of fun doing that.
It's certainly going to be an interesting environment. So we have 6 different YouTubers and our crews basically converging on this one rustic, primitive lake camp cabin. And we're just going to be hanging out and duck hunting and making content and everything. And it's gonna be phenomenal. And I don't know how much you've been into Central Kansas in mid to late October, but have you ever heard of the funnel, Josh?
No, I haven't.
So there's the funnel, and this is really true. You've got some of these marshes in Central Kansas and a lot of ducks. I'm sorry, not the funnel, the hourglass. It's called the hourglass. And so you get a huge migration through the center of the state. And in October, specifically October and early November. And on our side of the state, we just completely miss it, where it's like pintails, redheads, widgeon, where we're looking at our marshes and we're like, where are the ducks? And it's like, oh, they're in the hourglass. So the hourglass is definitely a real thing, because there's so many huge prairie marsh wetlands in the interior of the state, and just masses migrate through it, and they just kind of skip us.
So that's where we're going to be for the hunts?
That's where we're going to be, in the hourglass, yeah.
Right in Pintail Central.
Yep.
Watch out, you can only shoot one.
Yeah, well.
It has to be one more than he's ever shot.
Yep. So, no, definitely looking forward to that and excited for all of that, so. All right. So, you got a new website.
Yeah, I do. Launched it yesterday.
And is your logo, it's new too as well?
Well, it's just a design for hats and shirts. I'm keeping the logo the same, like what's branded on my channel on Instagram. It's just kind of a fun alteration of it, and I think it's pretty sweet. So
yeah, no, it looks pretty cool.
We're gonna put that on a hat.
Awesome.
Had you been using that fishing hook design? I didn't realize you'd been using it since you switched your channel name. Was that still being used?
Yeah, it's I had that design made when the channel was still Kansas Fisherman. So then I changed the name, just swapped the letters out on the logo. Because I mean, the logo itself, it's kind of cool to think about, because the main majority of it is a duck head, but then you just have this slight little fish hook on the side finishing it off. And it kind of describes my content, because I mean, most of my content is duck hunting, but occasionally I get out and do some fishing as well.
I didn't realize you'd kept the fishing hook for some reason when you changed the channel name until I was looking at that hat. I didn't realize you had hung on. I thought maybe that was a little throwback, but I like that.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. So
if people are wondering what the website is, it's outdoorlimitsshop.com.
Nice. And I know I took a brief glance at it today, and looks like you got some hats and t-shirts on there. You got plans for other stuff in the future coming up on there as well, or?
Yeah, I do. it's a very big upfront cost setting these things up. So I was like, okay, we're gonna just go ahead and launch these things, and then we'll let it ride for a little bit, and then we'll add some new stuff later down the road. So the more orders we get, the more um, new stuff will come out, pretty much.
Cool.
Because I've got to recoup that initial investment and then start reinvesting it into the business to where, I can make a profit off of it to help support what I do here, but then also be able to come out with hoodies or beanies or new logos on t-shirts and hats. So it's going to take a little bit of time, but there's going to be some new stuff coming.
Nice. And with that, I know it's a little different from what you were doing last year. You want to talk about that at all, or is that a topic we should skip over, or what?
So, yeah, last year I was doing my apparel through Ducks and doing promotions for them, and so basically I told myself when I started, I was like, I'll let it ride for a year, see how it goes, see what I think, and by the end of the year, I was like, I think I'm finally at the point now where I can launch my own website and do it all. Because initially I did not have the financial capability to launch a full-on website and buy all this back stock of apparel, but now I'm finally there to where I can do that. And I honestly, like, before that, I was doing it with Mallywhacker Outfitters out of my apartment. Then I went over to Ducks after that fell through. And then when I was with Ducks, I missed the ability to say, I want this design made, and I want it on this shirt and do it here. I miss having the ability to say, I want this now, and we're going to make it. But then again, I also missed being able to see orders come through. Like, even with launching the website yesterday, I get notifications on my phone when people place an order. And for me, that's just super cool to see people supporting the channel. And, I've kind of bounced around the idea of this, and I want to know what you guys think. What if I created an Instagram page of Outdoor Limit Shop where people tag that in posts, so then I can either put them in the videos or post them on the Instagram itself? What do you guys think of that?
Yeah, absolutely.
Cool. I guess I'm not exactly following the concept, but
so people order a hat or a shirt from me, right?
Yeah.
And then they post it on Instagram and tag me in it with a different Instagram, so then I can kind of keep track of what's what. And then I can take those photos and post them on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, and just kind of get the people who order stuff and watch the videos involved in the content.
Nice.
So I don't know what you guys think of that.
Well, I mean, the whole thing about YouTube and social media which is different from TV, because TV was all like the screen outward, and YouTube and Instagram, it's like the interaction back and forth. And so the more, I think, to me, the more you can do to continue the interaction back and forth with the people that are consuming the content, the better you're going to be.
Definitely agree with that.
Yeah.
So with kind of transitioning.
Bounce around.
Okay.
Go ahead and transition.
So transition into the next kind of topic I wanted to touch on. So I know you're moving, and how's that going to change your hunting grounds and all that? I know you probably had a pretty decent grasp on where you're hunting, and anytime you move or change, you got to change spots or travel further to hunt your old ground. So do you got kind of a plan for this upcoming season?
I do. So my old stomping grounds from my new house that I'll move into is 55 minutes away. So that's still not bad to go duck hunt. I know I've driven a lot farther to do that. But the house I'm buying is also like 15 minutes away from a boat ramp in another place. So I'm gaining another new, closer area that's new to me. It's a lot closer, and I can keep an eye on it pretty much every day. But my old area isn't so far away that I can't go to it in the morning and come back. So I don't think it'll affect me too much. I've built up a lot of connections over this past season, built a lot of new friendships, and that's really beneficial as well, because I've got people all around the area now that I can go hunt with as well. So
nice.
And I'm going to have to probably get out and knock on some doors and figure out what's leased and not, who has permission on what. And that's kind of the fun of it as well. But it's also kind of a bummer when you keep getting rejected.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I don't know how it is in Kansas, but Indiana, I say it's like the ratio is probably somewhere to it's like 5% success rate.
It's hard to say.
Hard to say.
I imagine where you went to college, the success rate was way better than 5% because the population density there compared to where you are now is a lot less.
Mm-hmm.
I
Yeah.
think locally in this area, you'll probably have more problems just because there's
Yeah.
so many more people banging on
Well,
doors.
after I was towards the end of my college career, there was a lot of ground getting leased, and that was kind of a real bummer. I had some ground leased out from under me, which really sucked. But I'm pretty sure that's probably the case up here. There's a lot of leased ground.
Hmm.
Yeah, yeah, I'm sure it's probably.
Any plans to lease yourself or?
I gotta pay for a house and a wedding. Do you want me to duck hunt?
I hear you. It's I've never leased anything, but it's like you said, the more you get rejected, the more. And I've literally asked people, or people have literally asked me if I want to lease, and then if I say no, then they say no, and so it's like, I don't know. The more and more I get said no to, the more tempting it is to lease something at some point. I've never done it, but I might at some point. It's just,
I got burnt on mine, man. I'm done leasing for a while after getting. We leased a sweet looking place for $5,000. Never hunted it once. Not a duck on one was on it. It was awful.
Yeah, I mean, it's putting all your eggs in one basket there. And
Yeah.
like if you have a spot that you know the ducks or geese regularly use year after year, go ahead and lease it. But it helps. It really does help to know the history, because a lot of properties have duck history and a lot of properties don't have duck history. So it could look amazing, but the ducks never show up. So it's really good to do your research and watch a property year after year before you lease it.
Yeah, that's such good advice. Right after we leased our property, I did a video on it, showed it, and I was contacted by this guy on Instagram. He's like, "We leased that the last 2 years, and we didn't shoot a single duck." It was like we had just put in the money and everything, and we're like, "Okay, well, maybe they didn't grow the crops properly. Maybe they flooded it wrong." And sure enough, man, we've planted millet. We had a great crop. We were real careful how we flooded it and everything, and for some reason, the ducks just wouldn't go in there. Weird.
If I was going to lease anything, I'd lease a chunk of land to plant sunflowers on to dove hunt.
Yeah, that brings up an interesting topic. So I haven't told you this yet, Elliot, but I was actually talking to I don't know if you want to call it DNR or a manager of an Indiana FWA, and so I was asking about hunting in certain locations, and I'm like, hey, there's this spot that floods up on one of the dove fields, and I've noticed that ducks go into it, and can I hunt that? And they said that it was a gray area because it might be considered baiting for the ducks. So yeah, no, that was a head scratcher for me too. I said, if it's baiting for the ducks, wouldn't it be considered baiting for the doves if you got a state sunflower field that's cut down for dove hunting?
What did they say?
They said it was a gray area. So they said it. I think they might have been just misinformed. I don't know, but the way they told me is that because they're not actually a DNR officer. That's why I was saying they're like a manager of the area or something. But they said that it could be considered baiting for ducks. I'm like, well, then it would be baiting for doves, and it's a state-grown field, so I don't know. Weird. But yeah, I'm double checking with you guys because I thought that was crazy.
Yeah, that's strange.
Yeah, so you got to be careful.
The baiting laws need to be updated. I think the baiting laws are a little bit. I think they need to work on them.
Yeah. I mean, but they're both federal birds, right? Migratory birds, so they should be under the same regulations.
I would assume. Do they cut those and leave them when they on those fields?
I don't know. I've always heard it called. I've never seen what process they use or how they do it, but I've always heard it or people describe it as mowing a sunflower field or something.
Yeah,
like
but
that.
I mean, like the millet patches and stuff where we hunt, they mow sections of it and don't harvest it out. I know for a fact they do. I know the guy that does it, and they go because they've got too much smartweed or millet, so they go and they mow trails, they mow holes, but I don't think they harvest that stuff out.
Yeah, they don't.
I'll have to double check. I'm gonna ask him. After we get done here tonight. I'm gonna text him and see, because I'm pretty sure. I know they mow that stuff, and I don't think they're Because in order for it to not be baiting, you would have to mow it and then take it out.
Yeah, it's like normal agricultural processes, right?
I'm gonna text him tonight because I know the
Yeah.
guy where we hunt that does all the management and everything. So
Yeah, definitely
that's a
probably
good
something
question.
I should follow up on. Cross your T's and dot your I's on that, but
Yeah.
you got to be careful with those dove fields, Josh.
Mm-hmm.
You never know what can happen. So, yeah. So I guess that's a good point to transition. How'd your dove opener go?
Dove opener was all right. We shot 2 doves and a pigeon. It wasn't the greatest day. It's been pretty rough around here for doves. Like you see a bunch, but then a bunch is only like 30. I'd like to see like 80 in a spot, but it's just been like driving down the road. You see 2 here, 1 there, 2 over here, and it's just been kind of tough finding a good spot to dove hunt. And then all the public dove fields, they were pretty much garbage this year as well. So
Mm.
it's been tough. I had a decent hunt on Monday. I think we shot 7, so it wasn't horrible. And yeah, it was mediocre at best. I've had worse. I've had a lot better.
Yeah, well, I guess that's how it goes sometimes. Were the farmers late putting corn in Kansas as well with all the flooding?
I don't think it was that late. There was
Mm-mm.
a pretty good gap to plant corn, and now corn's like super good looking.
Yeah, they got it done. They got it done just fine.
So, are they going to be chopping silage soon around your area?
Yeah.
Hmm.
I think
Okay.
they're pretty much on normal go with it. It was funny because when we were getting we've been flooded here since May. I mean, all our reservoirs have been in, not just in flood stage, like 10, 12 feet above flood stage since early May. And I was talking to my farmer buddy during that time, and he was like, well, yeah, we're getting a lot of water, but I don't know exactly how the cycles work, but they were able to get it all planted. And the
Hmm.
corn looks great right now.
Nice.
So there should be lots of birds. That's what I'm hoping because we have no duck food in our reservations, in our reservoirs.
Mm-mm.
So I'm hoping that once, with all the good corn and everything, late November and December, that the birds are still using the water just as a loafing ground in these areas once they suck water out of them.
Yeah, and another thing to add on there is we'll get ducks regardless. They're going to pass through here. We might only have them for a day or two before they
Yeah.
move on, but it's still a place for them to stop through after when they're migrating, and they can stop off, get a drink, find some food somewhere, and if they're not happy, they can move out. But I don't think it's anything to be super concerned about. Ducks will find food regardless.
Yeah.
Yeah, the only problem is that when you have such a really, really good food source, they'll keep coming back and back and back. And
Mm-hmm.
and if you don't, then they just get so hunting those little remote spots is going to be a lot more effective, I think, because anything with pressure, if you don't catch them on a front, they've got no reason to go back to it.
Yeah.
So just finding them is going to be the key.
Wouldn't you think that they'd stick around some of those spots just as loafing ponds, and go more to the corn in the
Mm-hmm.
fields for their food source then if you don't have it out there in public land?
Yeah, so in pretty much November, late November, December, and January, you're going to find a lot of birds roosting on a lake, loafing on a pond, feeding in a field. That's generally where you're going to find them. And so early season, it might be a little bit tough, but I think there's enough water that, I don't know, it could be a crapshoot. I've just got high hopes that I can make something work,
Yeah.
but I don't think it'll be too bad.
I think December and January are going to be good. I think November is going to be the struggle.
Yeah, it will be. And if you think about it, how many ducks have you killed on a farm pond with no food in it? A lot. So there's got to be some methodology here. We just got to figure it out.
Yeah, the public land in November is going to be the struggle because at this point, hopefully, by November at least the lakes are down under flood stage. If they would just get under flood stage, where you could have some consistent, like at least pools that and because at flood stage there's so much water everywhere. I'm thinking what we might do if it stays at that is just hit the areas, the reservoirs at shooting time, and just boat and see where they might be going in that day or where we're flushing them from, and set up there if it continues to be flooded.
Hmm. That's my biggest concern is that things are flooded. I talked to a wildlife area manager a couple weeks ago, and they said that they haven't been able to get any water off the marshes this year.
Yeah, they're just, it's since May. It's not even just a little bit flooded. I know the area that I'm closest to is 7 feet. I don't know, what are they? 7 feet. They've got to lose 7 feet just to get under flood stage. They're 14 feet high, and just to even get to where it's not considered flood, they got to drop a full seven, which that's a lot of water. And every time they start getting close, we get another dumping. It's just over and over again.
So one thing I forgot to ask you about with your dove hunt is the pigeon was banded. So you want to go ahead and tell us about that?
It was a banded pigeon. It was pretty cool. Didn't expect it to be a banded pigeon, and apparently it was a racing pigeon.
So with a racing pigeon, do they? I know pigeons, they home or whatever you want to call it, so they go back to their cage, right?
Mm-hmm.
So would that one have gone back to the cage? Is that what you're kind of getting at?
Either that or it got lost. I don't know. A lot of times homers don't make it back, but I'm no pigeon expert. I just saw a pigeon fly over when we were dove hunting, so we shot it.
Yeah. So you kind of mentioned us to beforehand that, and I never heard this either. I just thought, a banded pigeon's just like a banded dove or duck or goose or anything else. Mm-hmm. So what's the story on that?
So I did some research, and it turns out that banded pigeons, most of them, are banded for racing. So these owners band their pigeon so they know it's their pigeon. They take it out 500-600 miles away, let it go, and it flies back home. And so that's kind of the purpose of the bands on them. So
okay,
so either that or somebody's 4-H pigeon. I don't know.
Gotcha. So when you said a racing pigeon, and again, I've never looked this up. I'm imagining like some miniature track with pigeons.
Little jockey on top of the pigeons.
Yeah, just flying around in circles. But no, they take them 600 miles away, and it's the first one to get back wins or something, or
something like that. That's from one little Google search from what I found out.
So this poor pigeon was on its way home, and bang.
Well, I don't know. It could have not been. It could have well just got lost and grouped up with a bunch of other pigeons.
Yeah, no, that's probably so. Because I know there's a farm around here, and it's got some banded pigeons in there. They're not going anywhere, so I just need one of those to come over my set, and it hasn't happened yet. So definitely pretty cool. But yeah, do you got any other big plans for the season as far as trips and hunts lined up?
Well, I'll probably go to Nebraska a couple of times, go out to central Kansas a couple of times. Got a thing in November I got to go to with a bunch of weird guys that I don't even know. And then other than that, I don't think I've got any other big plans. I try to stay pretty local and do my own thing.
Nice. Cool. And then
my plan is to kill ducks.
Yeah. As many and as often as possible.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I guess, what does your Kansas season then look like if you're just mostly staying home? You got, I guess, yeah, just talk us through what you got planned for this season.
So, like, teal season and duck season?
Yeah.
So, next weekend, hopefully, if everything plays out right, I'll be in Nebraska doing some teal hunting. Weekend after that, I'll be out in central Kansas teal hunting. And then a couple weeks in between, teal season ends, and I'll be up back in Nebraska doing opening day up there first weekend in October. And then I'll go back to central Kansas the weekend after that. And then wait a week, and boom, big duck season starts here, and it's go time. So Nice. It's going to be a lot of traveling here in the next couple of months. But after that, it's all staying home and doing everything around here for the most part. I don't really plan too far ahead. I usually, if anything, I plan 2 weeks in advance.
Yeah. No, it's probably best to do that with weather if you can help it.
Yeah.
Sometimes you can't, but, when you can, it probably helps success rate for sure.
Mm-hmm.
But
well, when it comes to opening up season around us, there's no reason to plan because it's like you don't know what you're gonna do. I'm kind of the same as you. It's like plan out September and October, and then when it opens up locally, you got to play it by ear.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we've done this before, but
you really love that. Go, Jordan.
All right. So we've done this before in the past, but it's been a while. So let's go ahead and run through the lightning round with you. So quick questions, quick answers, and just a way for everyone to get to know you a little better as a hunter. So what gun do you shoot?
SX4 Winchester.
And what is your
3.5 inch.
dream gun?
SX4 Winchester. 3.5
Is it really?
inch. I don't care. I just shoot it because I have it. I don't have a dream gun. Maybe a Benelli.
Okay.
I'm not a big gun enthusiast.
Nice. Is that SX4 new this year?
I've had it for a couple of years now.
Okay. Cool.
The only problem I've had with it was the charging handle fell out and I had to get a new one.
Yeah, I've heard that is an issue with certain guns. And then what kind of ammo you're running?
Federals.
And what size shot do you use for ducks?
2-shot, 3-inch.
And for geese?
3.5 inch double B.
Teal.
6-shot.
And what kind of choke are you running?
Modified.
For all three?
Mm-hmm. That's all I run is modified choke.
Nice. You know, Elliot's making the switch to extra full this year. He's had enough. And
Not true. Well, I just want to kill them or miss them. If they're at 5 yards full, kill them or miss them.
Elliot, you can tell it gets under Elliot's skin when I say that. So
Elliot
I just
needs
can't
to
help
open up his choke instead of tighten it up.
Yeah. Elliot wants a cylinder or skeet. He wants a skeet choke.
Hey, Fumblements has been using Improve for the past 3 years, and he's shooting like 70%, but he doesn't hardly pull the trigger. I'll say that. He doesn't shoot anything until it's got its little webbed feet barely off the water.
Got to have one toe touching, or it's not not fully committed.
I will say, when he switched that Improve, but he's the most conservative shooter I've ever seen in my life as far as what he'll pull the trigger on. It's unbelievable.
Only if it's banded.
Yeah. Funny thing about him, the first mallard duck he ever shot was banded, and he's been hunting a good 35 years. And he hasn't shot another band since then.
Only he would have skybusted a little bit more.
Yeah, that's why I keep telling him, man. Just spray and pray. Spray and pray, Fumbles.
And do you use a face paint or face mask?
Neither.
And what's your thought on that? Let's just hear that then.
Well, I just try my best to keep my head down, pull my hat down, grow out a nice full beard. The main thing is just keep your head tucked and look out the corners. That's what I've found works the best.
Awesome. I say this all the time, but I just like the face paint because it looks cool. So, and then spinner, no spinner, jerk rig.
Depends on the day. I usually run spinners in the early season. Late season, I tend to not put them in unless we're in a field. And a jerk rig, I really only break out when.
And as far as mojos go, I'm going to throw this one in for Elliot because we had a little bit of a back and forth on this. But do you think that a dove mojo will work for teal?
Yeah. I killed doves over a teal mojo.
There you go.
No, it works great. It works great. Don't be so hyper focused on what it looks like. All they're gonna see is the flipping wings and then steel being slung at them. They're not gonna see, oh, that's a dove and that's a teal.
But it feels like the rotation of a dove spinner is faster. It rotates. I feel like it rotates at a faster
a
clip.
little bit.
It's a more excited duck.
and here's now, we went through this whole thing about it, and I did at the end say that I probably think that it didn't matter, but part of it is that I want it to look like a duck. But out of all the times we used a spinner, the only time I've seen a hawk aggressively go after a spinner was with a dove. And so my thinking was, okay, was that just coincidence, or could the hawk tell the difference? And I know I'm way overanalyzing it. I know.
Probably coincidence.
Yeah, probably so. Probably.
And then what's your favorite terrain to hunt?
Terrain?
Just any type of habitat.
Okay, I thought you said train, like choo choo.
You seem so confused about the word terrain. I'm like,
BNSF.
he did graduate college, didn't he?
Favorite terrain fields. I love hunting fields. You don't get
Nice.
wet.
I think that's definitely a interesting one because we do get that from time to time, people picking fields. But for me, I think the thing that makes fields less appealing is when you have a dog, because getting wet or watching your dog work in the water is awesome. So there's a little bit of difference there for sure.
Yeah, but I feel like hunting ducks in a field, there's nothing better than that. Maybe honkers over water, but ducks in a field, it's hard to beat.
Yeah.
You got to let me tag along this year on a field hunt because I've been on one field hunt for mallards and it was fun, but it was like blowing 25 miles an hour. So it's like you sit up and get one shot and they're gone, but you got to let me tag along on one this year.
Yeah, I'll see if I can get one. We didn't have any last year. It was a weird year. So hopefully it happens this year.
I've definitely not done a lot of them, but yeah, I definitely can see the appeal on that.
I'll tell you what, Josh, we'll trade out. I'll take you on a nice river hunt with our boat, and you take me on a field hunt.
I'll see what I can do.
All right.
And am I missing anything, Elliot?
I don't think so.
Awesome. All right. Anything else you want to add here at the end, Josh? Nope.
Just hit them up with your social media stuff again.
Yeah.
So go ahead and follow me on YouTube, Outdoor Limits. Subscribe to the channel, hit that notification bell. And then I've also got a Twitter, Instagram, Snapchat, and Facebook. Twitter, I don't even really use Twitter. I don't know why I even do that anymore. But I've got Facebook, and my Snapchat is KS Fisherman, and then Instagram is outdoor.limits. And I've also got a website, outdoorlimitsshop.com.
Sweet. Alrighty, well, we appreciate you coming on, and we're definitely looking forward to doing more work and collabs together in the future with the Flyways Collective. But as always, awesome having on you here and talking duck hunting. Any last words, Elliot?
Nope. I appreciate you coming on here and really looking forward to the collabs, especially that November one ought to be a blast. Glad you joined up with us.
Yeah, looking forward to it.
Alrighty, everybody. Thanks for tuning in for another episode. I am Jordan from Duck Gun Chronicles, Elliot from Freelance Duck Hunting, and Josh from Outdoor Limits, and we'll see you guys on the next one.